This is the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast, a show to help independent UK-based HR consultants get a pipeline of perfect fit, high-paying clients without expensive adverts, time-consuming social media activities, or energy-sapping and monotonous networking meetings. I'm your host, Nick Paninsky, author of How to Land Your Dream Client, a book which explains everything you need to know to get every sale and client you ever want. And if that sounds interesting, then make sure to grab your copy from the influential consultant website today. That being said, let's get into today's show.
Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants with me, Nick Paninsky. Today's episode is episode 4 in the series on video. We have covered episode number 1 was why you should be using video to market yourself in your HR consultancy. Then we looked into what might be holding you back from creating the content for your HR consultancy. And then we looked at the tech and the setup side of things. This week, we are talking about what to actually say when you are on camera so that you don't say, I don't know what to say. So this episode is here to help you realize you've got loads to say. There's a simple structure to follow, and you've got more to say than most influencers. You just don't know it yet. Now, I'm about to curse you, so apologies for this in advance, but I want you to know this, and I want you to be aware that I'm actually aware that I'm saying it. But knowing and not doing is worse than not knowing at all. Let me repeat that for you. Knowing and not doing is worse than not knowing at all. So now that you know all this stuff about video, it's time to take action. And that's the general rule of thumb for everything. When you know that you should be doing something better, this is a Maya Angelou quote, actually. When you know better, do better. And I'd love to be able to take credit for knowing that quote, but I actually recorded a podcast with someone the other day, and we'll be sharing, you'll get access to it next month. But she shared that quote with me. I loved it. But the point is, when you know that you should be doing better, you should be doing better. That's what I want you to take away with this video content. You know that you should be creating it. The only thing that might be holding you back is what do you actually say. So by the end of this episode, you will know absolutely everything that you need to know about creating video content, and there'll be nothing holding you back. Because at the end of the day, you're not creating Netflix documentaries. You are not creating Hollywood blockbusters. You are just talking to real people, helping them solve real problems. And that's the types of videos that you should start filming. I was about to say you have to start filming. There is an argument to say that you know this stuff, so you should be sharing it with people. Now, what I do want to say is sometimes people say, oh, yeah, well, I don't want to share absolutely everything because then why would people pay me any money? Here's the thing. The information is already out there, right? The information is already out there. So the internet has the information. It's got the answers to every problem ever out there, especially now with ChatGPT. Before, people would have had to look for it. Now people can just ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT may or may not be correct. Most of the time it is correct. Here's the thing. When you create the content, that's what's important, because then people see you as the authority. They don't need to go and ask ChatGPT. They'll just go and ask you or look at your content. And you need to become the thought leader. And that's what creating video content is all about. Talking to real people and helping them solve real problems. So there are different types of videos that you can film. So for the easiest kind of content to create is the face to camera format, i.e., holding your camera up in front of yourself or putting it on your tripod or whatever and just talking directly into the camera. No editing, just speaking to one person. Now, obviously, you might need to do some light editing afterwards, or if you've made a few mistakes and you want to re-record, as we talked about last week, if you create your content, then take the transcripts, throw it at ChatGPT, say, this is what I've created, can I improve it? ChatGPT will then give you a script that you can just read out verbatim. So ideally, you will be, rather than just reading it out word by word, kind of boring, you would be putting tone, inflection in there, moving around, etc., and making it a bit more attractive rather than just someone staring at a camera. But yeah, The easiest video footage to record is face-to-camera format. So we're not talking over the shoulder, watching somebody create some content, and we're also not saying the kind of stuff where the video is made at you and you are, on a whiteboard or whatever. So what we're talking about today is face-to-camera format. It's the simplest. The reason we're going to, as I say, it's the simplest. That's the reason why we're covering it. In due course, you might want to graduate towards recording yourself on whiteboards or whatever. That's definitely an option. But for now, keep things simple. Master one tactic, then start to add more strings to your bow. Think of it like learning to play the guitar. What we're doing is we're learning a few simple chords, then we're going to put it together and we're going to learn a song. And then through those simple chords, you probably play a few songs, actually. And that's what we're going to be doing. That's exactly it. So rather than learning all the different chords and whatever else with like a guitar and learning all the different types of video format possible, we are just focusing on face-to-camera format. So all that's left to say is, what do you actually talk about? Well, here are 8 different kinds of content that you can create, and they're dead easy to get started. First up, you can share quick tips. This can be like a 60-second video, and it might start off with a simple hook. Here's one thing you probably didn't know about absence policies. This kind of content is going to be snack-sized. It's going to be helpful nuggets. For example, always document the reason for an absence, even if it's obvious. Why? Because if you've ever challenged, you'll be glad it's on file. So think of one thing you'd say to a client in an email or during a 15-minute check-in, whatever it is. This is perfect for LinkedIn. It's short, it's helpful, it shows authority. So what's one thing you wish more clients understood? Do you see how easy it is to create some content? When you start talking about these quick tips, how many quick tips can you think of? If you took out absence policies, for example, right? Got yourself one of those mind maps, put absence policies in the middle of that mind map, drew a circle around it, and then branched off. How many things would you want somebody to know about absence policies? You can create a quick, as I say, quick 60-second video all about that one thing that you probably don't know about absence policies, why it's so important. The next kind of video that you might want to create is an FAQ. So clients often ask me. So if a client has asked it once, someone else is probably wondering the same. So what should I include in a probation review? How long should an investigation take? You don't have to give all the answers. All you have to do is provide a clear starting point. Again, this is a very, very similar thing to quick tips. In fact, it's the same thing, just packaged a little bit differently. So if you're unsure about where to start with this, as I say, I've given you the mind map, the idea. All you have to do is put absence policies in the middle of it, or probation, or whatever topic it is that you want to talk about, because you know that your leads, clients, prospects, whatever, they are interested in this topic. Just start talking about it in a different kind of way. So as I say, you've got the quick tips, then you can have an FAQ. And if you want, you can keep a running list of questions you've been asked in client calls or consultations. That's instant video bank. Have a notebook and just write down in it, what it is that you've been asked. Later on, go and record the video, perhaps in your car when you're driving back from seeing that client, or perhaps when you've just got off the phone, if you've had a video call with them. Pull out your camera and just talk about the facts of what you've talked about, what advice you've shared, why it's helpful. If they want any help, give them a call to action. If you're watching along and you've enjoyed this, give me a call. Give me a contact, send me a DM, send me a DM, and we'll get started talking about your business today. The next quick type of content that you might want to create in less than a minute or so, myth busting. So you can start this off with, a lot of people think, and that is great for stopping scrolls, right? That hook there, a lot of people think, or a lot of people misunderstand, or a lot of people make this mistake. It stops people from scrolling. And then you start with a bold statement, something like, your handbook isn't a contract, and here's why that matters. Something along those lines. You dismantle one common misconception that your clients, prospects, your leads, your target audience, you dismantle that one common misconception that they have, and you give them a better way of thinking. You educate them in under a minute. These videos build trust fast. You're showing that you think critically and deeply about HR, but you're also showing that you understand your audience and the mistakes that they're making, and you are helping them to become better employers. So what common advice or misconceptions do you hear that makes you roll your eyes? Again, you can create a 1-minute video out of this, and your prospects will love you for it. Your leads, your clients, your prospects, they will see this 1-minute video and they will think, God damn, I was making that mistake. Now I'm not going to make that mistake. That's great. They will click like or they won't click like. Who knows? A lot of people are actually lurkers. I don't know if you've ever heard this term before, but this happened to me quite recently. I got sent a LinkedIn message. Somebody I never met before, never heard from, never DM'd. They'd never liked a single one of my posts, but they sent me a DM and said, Nick, I'm really enjoying your podcasts. I love your enthusiasm. Keep up the great work. And that's what is going to happen to you. You keep sharing content, people will seek you out. It might not happen immediately. It might not happen the way that you want it to happen, but it will happen. People will get in touch and say, wow, that was great. Thanks for sharing that. The next type of content that you might want to share are stories. So let me tell you about a client who you don't share the client's name, but you anonymize what the story is about, but then you share that story, right, about what it is that you've gone through. And a great format for stories is the beginning, the middle, the end. So, the client was struggling with this. Here's what they tried. That didn't work. This is why that didn't work. Then they called me. Here's what we did. This was the end result. Amazing. If you want the same result, contact me today. Again, you can share this in a minute, or you can share extra detail, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Who knows? Depends how much information you've got to share and how detailed you want to get with the story. But stories are really awesome. Everybody loves a story. We love stories on Netflix when we're chilling out on an evening or on the TV. Stories are just a great way of sharing information, and they're really good because they let you showcase your process without bragging. So for example, you could say, I had a client who was terrified of redundancies. We went through this 3-step plan, and within a week they made the decision and the team respected them more for it. So as I say, keep it simple. What was the problem? What did you do? What was the outcome? Alternatively, what you can do is you can also tell your story. So you can say, I used to hate video too. Now I just focus on helping one person per video. The next piece of content that you might want to consider creating is an explainer video. So something along the lines of, what's the difference between a disciplinary and a grievance? And this kind of stuff will seem really simple to you, but to other people who might not have had that exposure to HR, they won't know this kind of stuff, right? And these longer form, this should really be a longer form content because there's so much to unpack, right? But these longer form videos, they perform brilliantly on YouTube, especially if you phrase it in a way that somebody might be searching for when they are looking for an answer to their problems. So they perform brilliantly on YouTube. YouTube is the second most popular website in the world, but they're great for links in too. So the key to this is to choose a topic that people often think that they understand, but they don't. So break it down simply, whatever the topics are. Avoid jargon, use examples, use metaphors, use analogies, use stories. Bring these situations, make them obvious, make them easy to understand. This positions you as a helpful guide, as an expert, as somebody that can be trusted, not just as a service provider, not just as, another HR consultant. You are sharing content that people, your prospects, your leads, your clients, they want to watch, they need to watch, and you are making it easy for them to find you through YouTube, but you're also you're also positioning yourself as an expert, as somebody that they want to work with. Because the more time that they spend with you, the more time that they're watching you share this information, they start to build up that trust in their brain. They say, hey, Stephanie knows what she's talking about. I want to work with Stephanie. Now, as a quick tip, you might want to use phrases like, this comes up a lot, or let me make this simple. You also want to lead with empathy. So make it clear that you know that they're not making these mistakes on purpose. They're not an expert at HR. That's your job, right? So you can say something along those lines. You're not making this mistake on purpose. I get it. You're an expert at factory management or whatever it is that they do. You didn't go into factory management to become an expert at HR. But you do need to know this stuff because now you've got staff to manage, and that's not always easy, especially because you might end up in a tribunal, costing you thousands of pounds in potential fines, also being a real drag on resource, time, mental energy, etc. So give me a call if you want to avoid this kind of situation. You see how easy it is? And that can be you. You can be creating these kinds of explainer videos. The next kind of content might be a behind the scenes kind of content. So this is a bit more low pressure. This would be perfect for LinkedIn. And you can be talking about, here's what I'm working on this week. I see these kinds of posts quite often, but most of the time HR consultants are sharing this as a written form. I would encourage you to turn on your camera and just start talking to the camera. Here's what I'm working on this week. So for example, I'm reviewing a client's policy suite this morning, and I'm reminded how many are written for HR, not for humans. So again, you can be pulling it into, you can be talking about the example, making it real for your prospects, for your leads, for your clients, for those people who are watching this. You're not just talking about what you're actually doing. You're talking about why it's important, what you're spotting, and why this is important for the people who are watching it. And you're not giving away any secrets. You're building relatability. You're showing how you think. You're making it relevant to the person who's watching it. And this is great for reminding people that you are active and you are in demand and you're busy. You're a busy HR consultant who people are working with. So here's a prompt for you. What's something that you're doing this week, and why would someone care about that? You might want to consider covering something that people might not even realize is part of HR consulting. Alternatively, you might want to bookend your week. You just might want to talk about Monday. You might want to say, here's what you're working on for the Monday. Then you can share a new video on the Friday, how it's gone, what was important, what you've learned, how you've helped people, what the end result was. The penultimate type of content you can create in videos is rant videos. So, for example, can we stop pretending that X works? And this is one of the fastest ways to grab attention. Now, what you want to do is make sure that you're keeping it constructive, because passion is great, but you don't want to be unkind. And what you also want to consider is using a personal example to anchor it. Again, leading back to a story, for example. So you can say something along the lines of, I've had 3 clients this month and they're still using Bradford scores. For God's sake, it's time we bin this nonsense and started treating people like adults. Now, these create strong engagement. People will agree, they'll challenge you. That's good. That's okay for you to take a stance on something. That creates engagement. There'll be a lot of views, there'll be a lot of perspectives. You might end up going viral. People will agree with you, people will disagree with you, and that's okay. The people who agree with you, then they will want to work with you. And the people who disagree with you, well, that's okay. If they don't want to work with you, then they don't want to work with you. You can't work with everyone, right? Hey there, just a quick one. If marketing your HR consultancy feels harder than getting blood from a stone, I've got something you're going to love. On August 11th, 13th and 15th, I'm running a free 3-day event to help self-employed HR consultants just like you get all the leads and clients they want without networking, endlessly posting on social media, or even leaving the house. We'll cover why no one cares about your marketing and how to change that, why your lead gen isn't working and what to do instead, and why your prospects don't convert and how to fix it. Spaces are limited, so if you want to be one of the few who gets access to the free event, click the link in my LinkedIn bio and grab your ticket now. I'll see you there. You don't want to do this too often, but it is a good idea to be polarizing every so often. The best brands out there are polarizing. You know, I don't care for McDonald's, but there'll be loads of people out there who absolutely love McDonald's. Equally, I don't care for Primark in the slightest. But again, there will be people out there who love Primark. It's okay for you to be a little bit polarizing in that same style. So, you know, at the end of the day, if it makes you go, ugh, not this again, it's a rant opportunity. That is what a tip that I want to take away, that I want you to take away for us. And the final type of content that you might want to create are belief builders. So for example, you might want to start off these videos with, here's why I do HR differently, or here's how I approach HR differently, something along these lines. And you don't need to sell HR, you don't need to sell yourself, you just share what you believe, you share your values, you share your perspectives. This is your chance to say, here's how I think HR should be done, and this is why my clients love it. So, for example, HR shouldn't be about punishment. It should be about clarity. It should be about culture. It should be about engaging people so that they want to become so that they're forming the best that they possibly can be. And then businesses, they get the best results possible. And people buy into belief systems. This is what sets you apart. It can be polarizing. Some people will think that HR is about punishment. They're stuck in the dark ages, or maybe, just maybe, they have hard HR, right? They've got some sort of assembly line where the quality of the workmanship is less relevant than the actual person actually being present. But for your leads, for your clients, for your prospects, if you are all about soft HR, for want of a better phrase, then that's really great, because you'll be sharing that. Then your leads and clients and prospects, they will pick up on this and they will say, yeah, I share that value. I want my staff to be the best that they possibly can be to deliver the best possible results. Stephanie, she's the HR consultant for me because she shares this perspective. A prompt you might want to consider is something along the lines of, the HR world would be better if we just blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, whatever your belief is. Again, these don't have to be long videos. You can get this, created in a minute, 2 minutes maximum. And again, this is perfect for LinkedIn. Okay, so those are the 8 types of videos that you can create. Now, what you might be thinking to yourself is, okay, I've chosen the type of video that I want to create. I've chosen my topic. What the hell do I even say? How do I get my thoughts out? And I get it. You're not a YouTuber. You're not an influencer. You're a great HR consultant who just wants more leads and clients. So here's the good news. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. There is a simple structure you can use for any video that makes sure that you never ramble, never freeze, and never feel awkward. The first part of this four-part structure is a hook. So start strong, ask a bold question, say something unexpected. For example, could your policy land your client in tribunal? Why? Because attention spans are brutal. So if you don't grab somebody within the first 3 seconds, they scroll past. If you're unsure about what hooks to create, then ask ChatGPT or Google it. The best hooks will be there. They're already written. You might just want to, you just want to put them into your own context, into your own perspective, into whatever it is that you're talking about. The second part of the structure is context. So you want to make whatever it is that you're talking about relevant. So, for example, most HR policies get ignored because they're written in legal jargon that no one understands. So this context, it answers, why should a prospect care? Why should they continue to watch? Why now? Why is this important right now? And what's the risk or the benefit? Why is this so important? So we've had the hook. Now we're giving the information and why it's important. You are sharing this video with one person in mind. Why is this piece of information that you are sharing? Why is it important? After that, you want to follow up with some advice. So give 1 or 2 quick tips to make sure that people can apply the information that you're sharing with them. So use questions as, for example, so you can use questions as subheadings, like, what's the dress code? And then write it in plain English, as if you were talking to your mate. Now, again, you are not teaching a full lesson. You're not going into the full ins and outs of policy writing. You're just moving them one step forward so that they say, okay, she knows what she's talking about. I need help with my policies. Stephanie knows exactly what she's talking about. Then the 4th step of the process is that call to action. So you finish with a clear next step. For example, if this was helpful, follow me on LinkedIn for more. If this was helpful, DM me and we'll sort out your policies. If this was helpful, click like. It doesn't have to be a big ask, but you want to keep the momentum going. You want to make sure that you have a call to action. This is important because you've given them loads of stuff. Now you want something small in return. And ideally, you want leads and clients. So yeah, the best call to action would be some sort of downloadable so that you get them onto your mailing list, or you can just say, DM me. Now, let me give you a live example to show you this in action. I'm only going to give you the overview, right? But the hook would be something along the lines of why your onboarding process might actually be causing resignations. And then you want to move into the context. So something, for example, like 60% of employees say their first day feels disorganized or overwhelming. Then you want to move into some sort of advice, create a first day one pager, key contacts, lunch options, first week schedule, etc., etc. And then you have some sort of call to action. Need help improving your onboarding? Drop me a message. Need help improving your onboarding to avoid unnecessary resignations? Drop me a message. Something along those lines. You want to make sure that the call to action is clear about what it is that you want them to do and why you want them to do it. Now, again, all I've given you is a broad overview of an example, but you can see how you can, that's the bones. You would add the meat to the video. So let's recap. It's a 4-part process. You have the hook to grab attention, you have the context to make it relevant, you have the advice to add value, and you have the call to action to keep things moving along. And honestly, once you've used this format a few times, you'll stop overthinking your videos. The structure does the heavy lifting. And remember, messy action beats perfect inaction. So you've now got the structure, you've now got what to talk about. All that's left is for you to start hitting record. Your first 5, 10 videos, they will feel clunky. You'll ramble, you'll overthink, you'll cringe a bit when you watch them back. But that's not a sign that you're doing it wrong. It's a sign that you are starting. And the only way to get confident and better on video is to start and improve as you go. Where you start, not where you end up. If you want this in real terms, go back and listen to my first few podcasts. They are dreadful. I cringe when I think about them. But now, I've got a lot more confident. I've got a lot more relaxed. I know what I'm doing a lot more. So my podcasts have got better. I've improved as I've gone. But I had to start somewhere, just as you have to start somewhere. The more you speak, the more you post, the more you'll naturally refine how you come across. The quality of your videos will increase. Think of it like learning to walk. No one nails it on attempt 1. But you don't give up and say, I guess I'll crawl for the rest of my life. Walking's not for me. You keep going. And that's what's going to happen with your video content creation. Yeah, at first, they're not going to be great, but they're going to be better than nothing. And here's the thing, your audience, they're not looking for a BBC presenter. They're looking for somebody that they can relate to, someone they can trust, someone who's an expert. And trust doesn't come from perfection, it comes from presence. So show up, be human, be helpful, share advice. Some days you'll stumble over your words, some videos will flop, others will land though. And you'll only get to those videos that land if you push through the awkward ones. So if you're waiting to find your voice before you start filming, if you're waiting for perfection, you've got it backwards. Start filming. That's how you find your voice. That's how you find your perfection. Do it messy. Do it messy. Do it messy. Keep going. Eventually, you will get a hell of a lot better. And that's it. That's today's episode. That is everything that you need to know about creating videos for your audience, for your prospects, for your leads, for your clients. You have got the types of content to create. You have got the format for how to structure your videos, and all that remains to be seen is for you to take action, right? As we said in that Maya Angelou quote at the start, once you know better, do better. So yes, pull out your camera phone, pull out your mobile phone, click record, get your content out there. Now, I did say in the previous episodes that there would be a 14-day challenge download, which will be a shortcut to help you creating your best content. Unfortunately, God's honest truth, I've just not had time to create it. I will, and I do apologize, but I have been focusing on the free event, which is coming in August. It's on August 11th, 13th, and 15th. If you haven't got your ticket yet, make sure to do so, because that free event is going to blow your mind. I have created some amazing information, content that is going to help you get all the clients and leads you ever want for your HR consultancy. That's the big promise. If you turn up, I guarantee you that's what you'll walk away with. The information, the knowledge on how to get every single lead and client you ever want for your HR consultancy. No networking events. You won't even have to post on social media if you don't want to. But what I will say is that 14-day challenge. So let me go back. The 14-day challenge download. As I say, I've just not had time. I do apologize. But I will update the show notes when I've created that download, so that it will be that information will be in the show notes. And I will share a bonus episode to say, hey, that 14-day challenge is live. Go and grab it now. But that being said, you've got enough information to get started. You have more than enough information to get started, to start creating the videos, to drive leads and clients and prospects to your HR consultancy. So don't let that lack of a shortcut, that 14-day challenge download, don't let that stop you from showing up for your future clients. Now, as I say, if you check the show notes right now, as this episode is new, then what you will find out is information for the free event in August. As I say, it's going to blow your mind. You should not miss it. But the 14-day video challenge PDF download, it is coming. Stay tuned. That being said, thanks for taking the time to listen along. I hope this episode has been useful for you. And as ever, get marketing, because without marketing, there's no sales. And without sales, there's no business. So get marketing.
Hey there, and thanks for listening to the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, then please consider taking a minute to help us grow by sharing the episode with a friend or colleague, or by leaving a positive review on podchaser.com. And make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming episodes if you haven't done so already. I've been your host, Nick Paninsky, and if you've got any questions or you want to know more about today's topic, then feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd be delighted to hear from you. See you next time.